Okay. So in today's session, we'll see when you get access to Fusion Instance, how to create our own user. Okay, how to create our own user, and after creating the user, what is the next step which you have to perform in the first instance. We'll go through these points, and when I talk about the introduction of this Fusion and the few other points, definitely we'll discuss. But in the few initial classes, let's get into the instance related configuration and do relevant process. Maybe after a few classes, we'll talk about what is a SAS, PaaS, IaaS, and few points we have to understand. Anyway, I'll be covering as a part of this course without taking much time. Just we'll be discussing those points maybe after few classes. The reason is that there may be few guys who are gone through that introduction videos or classes in prior batches. So that is the reason, again, repeating the same points may not be good. So directly we'll get into the instance so that you can just understand from where to start, what we have to understand when it comes to the instance. Fine. So in today's session, we'll see how to create the user. Create implementation user. So when you create implementation user, the user should have a certain privileges to perform the implementation related configuration. Okay, when you create the implementation user, primarily we have to assign the three roles. In case of EBS, we call as responsibilities. Similar to that, here we have a concept called as roles. We have to assign the roles called as application implementation consultant, and we have to assign the role called as IT security manager. Another role is employee. So if you are going to work as an implementation consultant, if you get access to the system, as a user you require these three roles. Okay, if you have access to these three roles, you'll be able to complete any sort of configuration to implement the solution for the client. So the application implementation consultant role will give the access to that user to do configurations. Okay, or say setups. So any application related setups we can perform from this application implementation consultant role. Okay, with the help of application implementation consultant role, you'll be able to do application related setups. We'll see, we'll create the user, what sort of configuration, through what option we can do, everything we'll discuss. Being an IT security manager, you can create the users, and you can manage the users, and you can assign roles to user, and you can create custom roles also. So if employee role is associated to implementation user or any user, that user will have access to employee self-service pages. Employee self-service pages. Okay, so these are the three primary roles which we have to assign to implementation user, so that is all relevant privileges that user will have. So we'll create the implementation user, we'll assign the roles, and we'll verify based on these roles for this relevant areas user will be able to access or not. So I'll be using one user which is already created within this instance. For your practice, I'll share different user. With that user you can log into the instance and you can create your own user, then you can start the configuration from your end. So there is one user which already I created in this instance is ERP tree. Provide username and password, click on sign in. So what is our target now? We want to create implementation user. and we have to assign these three roles. First we have to create the user, then we have to assign these three roles. So once you log into the instance, in the left side corner you can see the navigator icon in the bars. Okay, three bars you could see. Just click on that. We'll discuss and understand all these points. What you could see in this page, everything will come to know. But now our target is user creation. Just click on these bars, which we call as a navigation bars. Click on that. So here, go to section called as tools. Go to tools section. Under tools, you can find one task called as security console. Okay, under tools, you can find security console. Just click on security console to create the new user. Just click on security console and select user section. Select users. Here we can create our own user. Okay, when you get access to fresh instance, when your client get the instance from Oracle, of course Oracle will provide one username. If you want to proceed with that user, yes, you can do that. Otherwise, you have to create your own user. When you create the user, you have to assign these roles so that that user will be able to have access to the complete system environment to work as a consultant. So after selecting users, click on add user account. Fine. Here we can provide the username. So let's take the username as a Google. You can provide the first name, last name, email, username, password, confirm password. What are the fields are mandatory? Let's provide. Okay, first name is not required. You can provide the last name, and username also say we require Google. Once you provide the last name, the same name system would default as username. Yes, we need the username as a Google, and you can set the password and you can confirm the same. Set password and confirm the same. When you set the password, here you can see the password policy. What policy says? Simple. At least 8 characters with one number. Okay, so that's how when you are just setting the password, you have to follow that password policy. So if I click on save and close, user will be ready. But we have to assign these three roles. Okay, the application implementation consultant role, this user required to do the setups in the system to implement any application. IT security manager role is required to create the users and to assign the roles to the user and to create the custom roles. Okay, the own roles if you want to create whatever Oracle is providing. Apart from that, we can create the roles as per our requirement. That also possible with IT security manager. With employee role, the employee will have a self-service access to the relevant pages, as well as if you assign the role called as employee to any user, that user can run the reports. So if you assign the role called as employee to any user, okay, that user will be able to run the reports also. Right. So this is how that user can have access to these areas based on the roles whatever assigned. To assign those three roles to this user, click on add role. Click on add role. Now here you can search for the first role called as application implementation consultant role. Application implementation consultant. Okay, so application implementation consultant, select it. So here you could see application implementation consultant and application implementation consultant copy. So we can copy one role, right? If you have this role you can copy into multiple roles also. You can notice in this instance somebody made a copy. This is the actual role which Oracle provides. Somebody copied this role. The same you could see as application implementation consultant copy. That copied one we no need to select. So whatever Oracle is providing, that we can assign to our user. Okay, select this role and click on add role membership so that this role will be assigned to user. Okay, the role application implementation consultant was added to the user. Say okay. So in the background also you could see the same application implementation consultant. Now we'll assign the role called as IT security manager. Okay, IT security manager. So search for IT security manager. So here is IT security manager role. Select this role also copied and they mentioned as a do not use. This is a serial one. This is created by someone based on this role. So whatever the roles are created by someone else and which are copied roles, you no need to assign to your user. Assign whatever Oracle is providing. The role name is IT security manager. Select, click on add role membership so that role will be assigned to the user. Say okay. And the third role is employee. Assign employee role to the user. Okay. Search for employee role. Only one role we have. The same you can assign to the user. Say okay. Click on done. So now we created a user and we assign these three roles. After creating the user and after assigning the roles, what we have to do is we have to run one job. We have to run one job called as LDAP. Say run LDAP job. Okay, we have to submit the job, which you can call as a request also or program also. We have to run the LDAP job. LDAP stands for L stands for lightweight, D stands for directory, A stands for access, P stands for protocol. Lightweight directory access protocol. In Fusion applications, if you assign any roles to user, that information need to be updated in this lightweight directory access protocol directory services. Now we created a user called as Google, right? We created a user called as Google and we assign these three roles with this user. So what are the roles we assigned with this user? That information will be updated in this LDAP. LDAP simply we call as LDAP. LDAP directory services. But still, even if what are the roles you assign to this user, the roles information will be updated in the LDAP. Still, Oracle recommends always submit this LDAP job so that if the roles information is not updated in the LDAP, because of this job, those will be updated without taking much time. That means whatever the roles we assign to this user, this information should be synchronized, should be updated in this LDAP services, LDAP directory services. For that reason, we have to run this job. If you don't run, what happens is, if you log in from this user, because of these roles, whatever we assign to this user, the permissions you may not get. Okay, the synchronization should happen in the LDAP services. That is the reason whenever you create a user and when you assign the roles to that user, the moment you assign the roles to the user, the roles information will be updated in the LDAP automatically. But Oracle recommends anyway you submit that LDAP. If those are not getting updated automatically because of this job, those will get updated immediately. So that's Oracle recommendation. So we have to run this LDAP job. Okay, we created a user, we assign the roles. The roles whatever we assign to this user, those need to be synchronized for this user. For that reason, we have to run the LDAP job. How to run the LDAP job? We created a user, just say save and close. So it may take some time to save this record. Done. If you want to find out the same user, already that user select, it's already selected, you can search for our user. Our username is Google, right? Click on search. You can find our user record. This is the username, display name, and this is the username. And if you want to reset the password for this user later point of time, you can go to action and you can reset the password. If you want to delete the user, yes, you can delete, or else if you want to log the account, yes, you can log the account. These are the different actions you can perform against the user record. Okay, fine, done. Now what we have to do is we created a user and we assign these roles. So these roles need to be synchronized with this user in the lightweight directory access protocol directory services. So for that reason, we have to run the LDAP job. To run the LDAP job, click on this bar icons, which will open the navigator. Within the navigator, go to tools section. Tools we have. Okay, go to tools. Click on task called as scheduled processes. Click on scheduled processes task. It will take us to the page from where we can submit any job or request. You can call as request or job, but here they are giving the name as job. So to submit LDAP job, click on schedule new processes. Okay, click on schedule new processes tab. Just submit the job called as LDAP. Just search with the term called as LDAP. Use tab, it will fetch the program job name. So this is the job we have to submit. Job name is retrieve latest LDAP changes. You search with LDAP, it will display the jobs which are available with LDAP. You have to select the job called as retrieve latest LDAP changes. Just select, say OK. In Fusion applications, if you are running any job, the job may process some data, or the job may help you to get any report related information, output of report. So job related to some process related job or report related job, whatever it may be, you can see the description of the job. Means what purpose we are running. What is the purpose of this retrieve latest LDAP changes job? It synchronize users and user related roles, and within the roles what are the grants we have, everything will get synchronized in LDAP, lightweight directory access protocol. Okay, is it mandatory to run this LDAP job? This job only we are calling as LDAP job. So is it mandatory? It's not mandatory. If you don't run also, system will synchronize automatically, but it may take some time. Instead of waiting for the auto synchronization which happens from system side, Oracle recommends us to run so that the changes, what are the roles we assign to that user, everything will get synchronized immediate base. Okay, just say okay. And no parameter. This job runs at entire instance level. It is not a user specific job. Okay, say submit. In the same time, now see we submitted this. Let's see the status. Retrieve latest LDAP changes. The status is it's ready to run. You can click on refresh. It is running. Okay. Now in the same instance, in this instance, if some other user also going to run the same job called as retrieve latest LDAP changes, system will place that job with the status called as blocked. It will block till we complete this job. That means in the single instance, okay, at a time only one user can run it. Now if I submitted this job, say you also using the same instance, say you created your own user and you assign the roles, but I submitted this job. Since I am submitting this job, forever user and your roles whatever you assign to synchronize, again you don't need to run the job. If you or me are going to run, that is more than enough. That means the job runs at entire instance level. What are the new users are created, what are the roles are assigned, it will consider all the updates and it will submit this process so that everything will get synchronized, everything will get updated in the LDAP directory services. So if some other user is going to run the same job in the same instance, it will just block that job till this current job will complete. Okay, so this is how you have to submit. It will take some time. The final status, it will update as a succeeded. Now from running to, it will turn into completed. From completed to, it will turn into succeeded. But you don't need to wait to see the status as a succeeded. You can submit the job. You can wait for a couple of minutes, maybe 2 minutes or 3 minutes. After that, you can proceed and you will be able to see expected results. In our case, what are the expected results? If you go to this Google user, because of these roles, we should be able to do all this. Okay, that's it. Right? Done. Now we'll just sign out from this user and we'll log into the instance with our own user called as Google. And so far, whatever we discussed, any questions on this, please? Okay. So what are the points we discussed on this? Any questions, please? Fine, no questions.
Hello.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, hi Lakshman, Ritvik this side.
Yeah, please.
As you said that, I mean, if two users are parallelly running this job, then it will block for the second user. So
Correct.
this rule is for all processes or only for this
Only this,
process?
only LDAP, because this is
Okay.
instance level. Because see, if you and me are the users in the application, if you are running one report, okay, from your user, and even the same report, if I'm going to run from my user, that will work. That's a different thing. That is user specific
Okay.
reports and your organization specific reports and all. But only this process is instance specific. It runs at instance level, entire application level.
Okay, fine. Thank you.
Yeah, fine.
One more thing,
Yeah,
one
please.
thing, Lakshman,
Yeah.
this is Purna. Actually, I just want to know, you have mentioned that employee responsibility means that role, if we add that role, then only we can run the reports, right?
Exactly.
So all the reports we can run from this role, or how?
No.
Means in the R12, yeah.
For that, you have to provision the access to the user to run the report. See, these are the roles which are required by consultant. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now you want to run AP related reports. Say you are working on accounts payable. So you have
Yeah.
to send the accounts payable related role to the user. Then you will be able to work on accounts payables. So how many reports access you want to give to that user, the reports also you can include in the role only.
Okay.
Within the role, you can have permissions to perform the transactions and you can include which reports access the user is required.
Okay.
These points will discuss. I'll be taking
Okay.
as a separate session type of role.
Yeah. But,
So since these are
got it.
initial classes, just I'm taking through as introduction what is how to create the user, how to create the implementation project, how to start with the setups. Once you are comfortable with these few points, then you can start working
Okay.
with the system. Then I'll take you through more detail level, different type of roles, how it can be classified. If you compare with EPS, what is the naming convention, etc. We'll discuss. Yeah. In few more classes, you'll get to know the complete information we should understand. Okay.
Sure. Thank you.
Yeah. Right. So done.
Hello. Hi, Lakshman.
Yeah, please.
Hi, Lakshman. One question. On the user, screen page,
Yes.
there is one column alongside role code. So, does it mean that you can have for the same role two different role codes?
Role code.
User, if you go back to the user Google
Okay.
page.
So here you can go to users, search for our user. Click on display name or username. It will open the record. Click on edit.
Yeah, there. Yeah,
Yeah.
there you see the role code, right?
Sorry.
So there you see the role code there on the column. So
Yeah. Okay.
when I was
One
looking
second.
at,
One second. 1 second. See, this is a role name. For that, this is a short name because the role name
okay,
always will be useful to address the role is belongs to which application. Say for example, I'll say role name is billing specialist. Okay. So by seeing the role name as billing specialist, you cannot understand the role is belongs to which application, whether that is related to project billing related role or receivables billing related role. That can be addressed with the role code. That's all.
do we have to check that box assignable or
No,
auto
I'll explain
provision?
all these. We have no, not this assignable. You don't need to check anything. Okay, we'll discuss what is
Okay.
the auto provision roles, etc. There are few points still we have to understand because these directly we cannot create. We have to create employee users, etc. Other setups are required. So once we reach that stage, I'll be covering whatever we have to understand.
Okay. Okay.
Fine. I'll
Thank
be
you.
covering definitely each and everything what we should understand when we are going through this. Yep. Okay. Just canceling this.
Hi, Lakshman.
Yeah. Hi, please.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hi, this is Shankaran here. Actually, this is my first session, and Monica had told that this is the introductory session, but it doesn't seem like the first one. So, just want to confirm whether I have been shared the right link.
Correct. Correct. I mean, this is the first session only. Okay.
But it seems because in the previous videos which she has shared, the demo videos, we are more explaining on the.
Fine. Any other questions?
Yeah, hello, Lakshman.
Yeah. Please.
Hello.
Yeah. Please. I can
Hello.
hear you.
Hello, is I am audible?
You are audible. Yeah. Please go ahead.
I have a question that we are already working on R12. How we are going to migrate these multiple users in this system?
See, migration is not possible if your client is using the EBS R12 application. If they want to go with this Fusion, okay, only the option is re-implementation. They have to treat EBS as a legacy and they have to follow the standard approach to implement Fusion application for the same client. Yeah. So that sort of points we'll discuss. Let's discuss those points in the end of the session related to course or anything else or any concept. But now, just if you have any questions related to this user creation, please. We'll discuss in enough time at the end of the session.
Thank you.
So, user creation, roles assignment. This is what we have to understand now. Any questions on the same, please?
Hello.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Hi, Lakshman.
Yeah,
This is
please go
Nick.
ahead.
Yeah, like that person, this is my first class, and I think I joined a bit late. Will I have the opportunity of replaying this class again, if you know, because it's a bit fast for me, you know, and I don't know how I'll be able to sort of replay it if I or review it again, because I don't want to be taking the whole class backwards.
So we'll share that recorded video and you can go through it. And if you have any questions, we can discuss.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you.
we'll do that. Fine. Let's move on. So now we created our own user and we assigned the roles and we submitted LDAP job. Now we'll just sign out from our current user and we'll log into the instance with our own user. Just now whatever the user we created, with that we will log in and we'll verify whether this user got the required privileges because of those 3 roles or not. Fine. Username is Google. Provide password. What's wrong with this? Just 1 second. security console. Users, username is Google. Reset password. I'm just resetting the password. Okay, now we can sign out from this user. Now the username is Google and provide the password. So this user is our own user which we created just now. Okay. So now we'll verify whether this user got required privileges or not because of these three roles. So as we discussed, application implementation consultant role should give the access to this user to do the setups. If you want to do the setups, you require access to FSM. Okay, that means the application implementation consultant role will give the access to FSM. FSM stands for Functional Setup Manager. Okay, FSM stands for Functional Setup Manager. With the help of Functional Setup Manager, you can do all the setups. Okay, if you are aware of EBS, so we do the setups from the respective responsibility. Table setups from tables, responsibility, receivable setups from receivables. But in the Fusion, so all the application setups you can do from the FSM. So application implementation consultant role will allow us to have access to FSM, Functional Setup Manager. From Functional Setup Manager, you can do all the any application related setups. And IT Security Manager. Okay, that first we'll see this. Okay, so now whether this our current user got access to FSM or not, we'll verify. How to check? To check this Google user got access to FSM or not, click on username. Click on username, or next to user there is arrow mark, down arrow, you can click on that. Once you click on username, the panel will open. Within the panel, if you can see setup and maintenance, that means you can understand this user has access to FSM. The setup and maintenance task says this user got access to FSM. Just click on setup and maintenance. Okay, just click on setup and maintenance task. Now this page, what we are able to see, that is FSM page, Functional Setup Manager page. From here you can do any application related configuration. See, here we have financials, many other applications we have. You can select the application and you can do the configuration. Or else there is another way of doing the setups also, where you can create the implementation project and you can do it. Those points all we'll discuss in today's session only. But let's try to understand whether this user got access to FSM or not. Yes, you could see here, if you click on the username within the user panel, we can find the task called as setup and maintenance. Once you click on this, we are landing on this page. This page is FSM page. From this page you will be able to do the setups. How to do, we'll discuss maybe after 10 minutes. Okay, just we are verifying. We given the access to this user to this role. Because of this role, this user is able to have access to FSM or not. We are checking, yes, this user got access to FSM. The second point, we assign the role called as IT Security Manager role to this Google user. Because of this IT Security Manager role, this user is able to create the users, and the user can assign the roles to any other user or same user, and custom roles can be created or not. Everything we can verify. So from where we can do all these things? These are all activities you can do from the security console. Okay, from security console, you can create the users and you can assign the roles to that users. Just now we created user and we assigned the roles to that user, the same activities. And as per business requirement, we can create the custom roles also. Going forward, we'll see how to create the custom roles, which is similar to creating the custom menus in EBS. In EBS, we'll create the custom menus. In the same way here, we can create the custom roles. So this IT security manager will allow us to access security console. If you have access to security console, from the security console, you can create the users, you can assign the roles, and you can just create the custom roles also. Now we'll verify whether our Google user got access to security console or not because of this IT security manager role. So click on navigator. Within the navigator, go to tools. Under tools, if you can see the security console task, here everything we call as a task. Under tools, if you can see the security console task, that means we have to understand this user has access to IT security manager role. If IT security manager role is assigned to this user, then only you can see security console. For any other user, if you don't see security console under tools section, that means we have to understand IT security manager role is not assigned to that user. That's it. But for Google user, IT security manager role is assigned. That is the reason we are able to see security console. If you click on security console, it will take us to the page from where we can create the users, right? That's what already we have seen by creating the user also. From here, we can create the users, right? Just we are verifying. We'll just go through more detail level. At first, we are verifying. And employee role. If you assign the role called as employee to any user, what the user can get? The user will be able to run the reports. We'll check whether Google user will be able to run the reports or not because of this employee role is assigned. Go to navigator. Within the navigator, under tools, if you can see the task called as scheduled process, that means you have to understand for this Google user, employee role is assigned. If employee role is assigned to this user, then you will be able to see this scheduled process task. Once you click on that, it will take us to the page from where we can run any job. From here, you can run any job. Just now we have seen we submitted LDAP job. In the same way, you can submit any report or anything else. So how we can provision the access to which report, etc. Those all points also will discuss. Just we are checking based on the roles this user got required permissions or not, we are verifying. Yes, the user is able to, Google user is able to run the reports. So the page access this user got, that is very much important. But which reports this user can run, that is the other point. Okay, from which page we run the jobs or reports, so that page access user will get. This page is equal to EBS SRS window. In EBS we call it as SRS window. Here this is schedule process page, and there is other name also. We call it as that. We'll discuss. There are a few more topics which we have to discuss at the time. These points will come into the picture. But now just we are cross checking. And because of employee role, the user should get access to employee self-service pages also. Whether this user, Google user, got access to that employee self-service pages or not, will verify. Go to navigator. So within the navigator, here you could see me, expand it. So this complete information related to employee self-service pages access. The personal information, checklist tasks, career and performance, benefits, personal brand, time cards, okay, directory, pay slips, etc., learning, job offerings, everything is related to employee, but the current user is not associated with any employee. If this user is associated with the employee, that employee related information can be accessed from these pages, from these tasks. But our user is not an employee user, just we created a user. We didn't connect employee with this user. That we'll see how to connect and all. To connect, to create the employee and all, we have to perform some other setups also. So going forward, we'll see how to create the employee, how to associate that employee to this user so that you'll be able to access this data. Everything will come to know. So we assign these 3 roles to this user. Yes, this user is able to have access to this FSM because of application implementation consultant. This user is able to have access to security console because of IT security manager. This user is able to run the reports, and this user is able to see this employee self-service pages access because of employee role. Okay, so this is the very first step we have to do in any fresh instance. If you are working for your client, you have to do this step. In case of EBS, you know how to create the user, which role you have to assign to the which responsibility you have to assign to the user, right? If you are going to do the fresh implementation in EBS, you have to go to system administrator responsibility. From there you can create the user. Ideally you require access to only single responsibility called as system administrator responsibility. From that responsibility you can create your own responsibilities, you can create the multi-org, you can do the module specific configuration, you can set the profile options, everything you can do from that your responsibility. So the same, similar to that, in Fusion applications, if any user need access to perform the implementation related configuration, or if any user is going to work as a consultant, so what sort of access required we are trying to understand. These 3 roles access is required for any user who is going to act as implementation consultant. If you get access to fresh instance, Oracle will provide the user for the specific instance. Log into the instance with that user and create your own user by following the process what just now we have seen. Once you are ready with the user, you can start with the FSM. Okay, you can start with the FSM. FSM stands for Functional Setup Manager. Functional Setup Manager. So if you want to do any setups, you have to navigate to FSM only. Okay, you have to navigate to FSM. So within FSM, what we can do is, first we have to create the project. Okay, before that, so here we have to, in fresh instance, first we have to create the user. The second step is we have to enable offerings and options. In FSM, first we have to enable the offerings and options. What does it mean by offerings and options? Say we have an application product families like financials, SCM, projects, right? CRM, procurement. These are the different product families. Okay, different product families which allows us to run specific business flows. So these product families, as per FSM in Fusion application, we call as offering. Financials we call as offering. The same way SCM also we call as offering, and project, CRM, procurement, the set of applications we call as offering. So financials, if you are calling as offering, within the financials, say we have applications like GL, AP, AR, CM, FA. This is how we have a different applications. Financials, if you are calling as offering, within the financials, what are the applications we have, those we call as per FSM is options. Just this is the terminology which we have to understand when you are dealing with FSM. Within the FSM, these product families we are calling as offering. Financials is on offering, SCM is on offering, say projects is on offering, CRM, procurement, this each and everything we call as offering. Within any offering, what are the applications, what are the modules we have, those we call as an option. GL is on option, AP is on option, AR is on option. When you are doing the implementation, very first step is you have to enable the offerings and options. Say your client has a subscription for only financials, SCM projects. In that case, you have to go and enable these 3 offerings in the FSM. Within this offering, from financials, which applications we are going to implement. Those, say for example, you are going to implement GL, APR. Those we are calling as options. These 3 options we have to enable. From SCM, SCM offering we have to enable. Within the SCM, which applications we are going to implement, those we have to enable as options. The same way projects offering we have to enable. Then within the project, what are the modules, what are the options we are going to implement, those we have to enable. If we don't enable offerings and options, those won't be available to create the project. In the Fusion applications, to manage our setups, okay, to perform the setups and to manage your setups, we have to create the implementation project. Here, we'll create implementation project. So what is the purpose of implementation project? Don't compare this implementation project as entire project execution or project lifecycle management, or it's not at all related to project costing or billing. Within the Fusion instance, to manage our setups, what are the setups you are going to do to perform the setups and to manage those setups. Only setup part you can manage with this implementation project. It is not at all related to entire project execution. So when you talk about the implementation project, we'll have a kickoff and we'll take the requirement, we'll do the requirement gathering, we'll do the solution design, system configuration, conducting CRPs, UATs, training, data conversions, and there are many activities which we will perform. Those all you cannot capture with this implementation project. Only the setups. Within the system, what are the setups we are doing, how many setups you completed, how many are pending. To manage all those, you can create the implementation project. So implementation project creation is not mandatory. If you don't create implementation project, how to perform the setup, those also we'll discuss. Okay. So these are the 2 points we have to understand. Once we're done with that, we'll discuss few more points. See, first point is we have to enable the offerings and options. So when you are doing the implementation, your client has a subscription for how many offerings and options, those all you have to enable. If you don't enable at the time of implementation project creation, you cannot select those offerings and options into project, so that you cannot do the setups also. If you don't enable at the time of implementation project creation, the offerings and options won't be available to create the project. If those are not available through project, you cannot do the setups. That's it. Which applications you are going to implement, those all you have to enable. That is nothing but offerings and options. The applications are grouped into different offerings. Within the offering, you can find the applications as a options. If you take, say, projects, project costing is one option, project billing is one option, project management is one option. If you take example of procurement, purchasing application is one option. Okay, self-service procurement is one option. iSupplier, supplier portal is one of the options. Those are the modules. So this is what we have to understand. First, we'll go and see how the options, and we have to enable offerings and options. And after enabling offerings and options, we'll if you have any questions, we'll discuss. Once we're done with that, we'll see how to create the implementation project in the Fusion application. Or else, yes, you can go ahead with your questions if you have any questions in this stage. Please.
Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning.
Yeah, please.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. From the create implementation user at Google, you are showing application implementation consultant. We have FSB details. You are giving us the details of what you are going to be implementing. Like now, if I'm thinking in subsequent classes, while you are talking about the creating implementation rules, you are giving us the user roles. I would like you to please explain, just as you have done for the IT security, that you are giving them, that if you are assigned to IT security manager, it will be able to see, it will be able to assign security console, create user and the likes. So I would like you to, like, if you are trying, do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, got you. Yeah.
All right, so I'm just saying that in case if you want to talk about other job roles, so you give us.
Yeah, we'll discuss all those. We'll discuss, but now just let's go through this. Once we get this basic understanding how to do this, then I'll take you through that type of roles, etc. Everything.
Okay.
Yeah.
This was it.
We have to discuss. So whenever those we have to understand, we'll discuss and we'll proceed. But now just This is how we have to start with. We are discussing this. After few classes, those points also we'll discuss. Okay, I'll be covering everything. Yeah, I'll do that. Fine.
Yeah, I want to ask: Are we going to get an instance to practice these things you're teaching us?
We'll share the instance.
Oh, okay.
We'll share the instance today.
Okay.
We'll do that.
All right.
Fine.
Okay.
Yeah, Lakshman.
Yeah, please.
Lakshman, can you go to the page, Fusion page, which you are logged in?
Yeah, tell me what is your. Yes.
Yeah. Can you go to the home page?
Tell me what is your question?
No, actually, my question is when we logged in with Google user, like these things, workspace activities. I mean, these are like standard. It will come for all users, or we have to do something for these?
No. By default, you'll get all this. Okay, these we call as springboard icons. We will explain, because what we are not discussing. Let's not focus on that. Definitely, I'll be covering all those things. Okay. So many things we have to understand. Now today what we are doing is target is user creation and implementation, project creation and other relevant. This everything I'll be covering, but we have to wait for some time. These are default. These all we call as springboard. These are all we call as springboard icons. Okay. So what we can do is whatever you see in the navigator. Okay. Whatever you see in the navigator, those you can see here also. Here navigator you can see me, right? Here you can see that. Here select me. The same it is showing.
Okay.
Right? Okay. The navigator you can see tools. Here also you can see tools. All we have here also. Here tools. Here also there. I'll explain everything. Whatever you have to understand, we should discuss. I'll be covering. Within the tools here, the navigator under tools we have a security console. Here also we have tools. If you select, we have a security console.
Okay.
From anywhere you can take the navigation. That's it.
Okay.
Fine. Any other questions, please? Fine, no questions. Now we'll see how to enable offerings and options in fresh instance. Okay. So to enable offerings and options, what we have to do is go to application and click on username and click on setup and maintenance. So this offerings we can enable from FSM only. Within the FSM only you can enable the offerings and options. Click on setup and maintenance task. Okay, just click on, here we have actions, right? Go to actions. Here we have a action called as go to offerings. Select go to offerings. I'll repeat the navigation once again. Click on the username. Click on setup and maintenance. And go to actions. Select go to offerings. So within this instance, what are the different offerings are available, you could see here. Okay, compensation management, customer data management, customer loyalty, enterprise contracts, financials, Fusion Accounting Hub, grants management, help desk, the marketing, procurement, product management, project execution management, project financial management, public sector, and services, sales, risk management. These are the different offerings, student management. These are the different offerings which are available from Oracle. So whatever we are going to implement, those we have to enable so that we can create the implementation project, or without creating implementation project also you can do the setups if these are enabled. That's it. Fine. Let's select our financials. I'm selecting financials offering. Okay. So since this is a Vision instance, you could see this offering is already enabled, but I'll take you through how to enable. If it is not enabled, how to enable. If it is a fresh instance, yes, we have to enable it. Since it's a Vision instance is already enabled, but I'll take you through the process of enabling the offering. So once you select this financial offering, you can see the summary of what it covers. So it covers the financial flows like including assets. Assets means fixed assets. Ledger means general ledger application. The cash cycles means cash management. Invoice and payments means accounts payable application and account receivables application. Collections means advanced collections. Setting up subledger application, subledger accounting, SLA, and tax configuration. As per EBS, EBT in Fusion, we call as Fusion tax. This all comes under financials. So here you could see the related documents also for this financials. Expand this related documents. Here you can see within the financials offering what are the related features we have. If you want to see that the features related document, the documents are available in PDF, HTML, or Excel format. You can download that and you can go through it. Just let's go and download in PDF format. Click on PDF format so that system will download the associated features which are available within the financials. Say open. Okay, so these are the associated features, very high level. So within the financials, users, enterprise profiles, legal structure, finance structure, okay, journal related notifications, multi-segment tracking, allocations, so primary and secondary ledgers. Okay, these all you can just see the very high level they are giving these details. So around 38 pages document this is. So you can see across all the application what are the features Oracle is providing. Those you can see in very high level. The fixed assets related features. Okay, so when you get access to this instance, you may just spend some time to look into these points so that you can understand. But anyway, the classes will say that to see as a part of this document, you can just go through all this. Okay, please try from your end. That. The same way we have a setup task and task list under tasks. In Fusion applications, what are the setups you do? Everything we call as a task. List of tasks we call as a task list. So if you are going to implement financials, what setups we have to perform, including mandatory and optional, everything you can find in the document called as setup task list and tasks. To see that complete list of setups, click on that any one of the format of file to download the document. I'm just selecting PDF format. It's a little bit big document. Okay, so it takes some time to download. 1 second. Okay, select open, say OK. So here you could see the document size is 591 pages. So these all are setups which falls under entire financials offering. Okay, we know like what are the mandatory, what are the optional setups also you can see within the document. When you go through these sessions and all, definitely we'll be discussing and we'll be doing what setups mandatory, optional, how you can identify. Okay, all those we can see. Okay, so you can see all this. I'm just searching for one task, say accounting calendar. Say calendar. So here we have a task called as manage accounting calendars. Okay, if you want to create the calendar, we have to use this task. So here the type is, it is a task, description, review and update existing grouping of accounting periods and to create a new grouping. Means with this accounting calendar we can create the periods. So this accounting calendar creation related task or function is belongs to which product? General ledger application. And this falls under which product family? Financials. This setup is required? Yes. Conditionally required? Yes. Okay. This setup related information can be exported and imported through spreadsheets? Yes. We'll see that how to export and import that sort of information. And CSV export import is applicable or not. Once we get into we'll see the different spreadsheets they're given for exports and imports. And we have ADFDI sheets and FBDI and rapid implementation. We'll discuss all those things. So it falls under this module. And so these all are relevant information. So for integrations, if you are going to use this information for any integrations, this is our path they have to use to connect to this function. Okay, so this is how you can see everything. All the setups you can see here. The complete setups related to financials offering, which is related to different applications which are part of financials. So this is just simple documents to go through that information. And related business objects and all, nothing. Here you don't see any useful information. When you are going through it, you can click on and you can download those documents. So you can see that is not useful information and not required for us. The same way, take any application, any offering, it talks about what it contains and the relevant documents. So now what we'll do is we'll see how to enable the offerings and options in case of fresh instance. So when you get access to a fresh instance, navigate to this page, select financials. If you are going to implement financials, click on opt-in features. Click on opt-in features tab. Just click on opt-in features. So here you can see within the financials offering what are the options we have. First what we have to do is we have to enable it, but in this instance is already enabled. Okay, so once you enable financials, automatically system will default general ledger. You don't need to enable general ledger as a separate option, because if you are going to use the financials, the basic application is general ledger. That system will enable automatically. If you are going to implement payables application, you have to enable this option. Okay, option means module. Supplier invoice processing you have to enable. Once you enable the supplier invoice processing, automatically system will enable these sub parts which will support the payables application. Suppliers, payables, payments, cash management and banking. These 4 sub parts which will support this payables related usage, automatically system will enable. The same if you are going to implement fusion expense as per EBS iExpense, you have to enable this expenses. And fixed assets, if you are going to implement fixed assets application also within the financials, you have to enable the checkbox. And in the same way, if you are going to implement receivables application, you have to enable customer invoice processing. And these are the areas which automatically system will enable. If you are going to implement advanced collections, you have to enable the advanced collections. And if you are going to implement revenue management, you have to enable the revenue management. Okay, and along with that, these features, if you are going to implement intercompany budgeting and to run the BI business analytics for all these applications. Okay, fixed asset, general ledger, accounts payables, and expense reports. For the data, if you want to run the BI analytics, the data, if you are expecting the data should be available in the BI to run the analysis analytics. So you can enable these options also, so that the all these application data would be available in the BI also, so that you can perform the reporting and you can perform the analysis from the BI also. So this is how we have to enable. And one more point here, the features. When you talk about financials, you can click on the features, this pencil icon. So if any additional checkboxes you have to enable based on the country or based on the business process you are going to implement, those you can set here. So by default those are enabled. If anything else you have to enable which is not enabled as per your business requirement, those you can enable here. Okay, So you are going to do that. You are going to do the implementation where for your, one of the public sector client. In that case, you can go to public sector. Okay, there you can set up the relevant controls, what is required and all. So for public sector, these financials you are going to use for budgeting and encumbrance also. So that's how you can set all these controls. So here, whatever you require, if anything is missing, you can enable. Otherwise, by default, so whatever Oracle is providing, that would be more than enough. But here we have additional controls which we can implement, which you cannot implement apart from the standard product functionality. If something is specific to country, those you can set from this page. Just click on that. So that's how entire financial level you can set. Application level or say option level also, you have those controls. Your application level also, go to GL level. Any additional provisioning you want to do, that you can just select and you can do it. Just click on features. Here you can specify all these. Okay, if anything is required, like you can do that. Okay, done. So this is how you have to enable the offerings and options. So along with the financials, you are going to implement procurement also. So in that case, just the same process you have to follow. Select procurement offering, click on opt-in features. Okay, just click on opt-in features. So it will allow us to enable the procurement. Within the procurement, what are the modules we have? Those we are calling as options. Those we can enable. Since the vision instance already enabled, otherwise we have to enable this. And under procurement, once you enable procurement, suppliers and items, by default those will be enabled, and you have to enable the application called as purchasing application. And again we have other application called as self-service procurement. As per EBS iProcurement application, here you could see as a self-service procurement, and receiving function by default will get enabled if you enable this. And supplier invoice processing, if any client is going to implement P2P cycle, if they enable procurement, that is enough. Again separately they no need to enable payables application. So supplier invoice processing they given within this application also, within this offering also. The same way supplier portal, this is a separate application. This also you can enable. This you can call as iSupplier in EBS. In EBS iSupplier we are calling as supplier portal, sourcing application, and procurement contracts. So what are the applications we are going to implement from procurement? Those also you can enable. So this is how you can enable the offerings and options. Once you enable these offerings and options, these would be available at the time of project creation. Any questions here, please?
Hi, Lakshman. Where is Fusion tags enabled here?
So Fusion tags no need to be enabled. When you are using these payables and receivables, it's a common application, right? It's not specific for only payables, only receivables. By default, that would be enabled. That would be available.
Okay.
You can do the configuration.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So any other question?
Hi, Lakshman. Can we enable and disable options and offering anytime, any point of time?
Any point of time, yes. Okay, now you may just enable only financials. Within the financials, you may enable only AP application and fixed assets, and you are not going to implement receivables as of now. So you can disable it, or else even if you enable, nothing will happen, right? Until unless you do the setups, you cannot use that application. You may enable or else disable. Later point of time you can enable, and you can include that into your project. Possible, any point.
Okay, thank you.
Do that. Any other questions, please?
Yes. So in that case, like if an implementation means is going on, but this enabling and disabling can be done prior to the product getting go live, right? Because once it goes live, once the transactions are
no. Yeah. These you have to do when you start with instance, not product will go live. The system will go live. Okay. Without enabling, you cannot do the setups.
Means once the users are using it, at that point of time, we will not be able to disable, right?
Okay, you're talking about that point. You can disable or enable at any point of time. By enabling these, what happens is these can be selected into project. So you created project, you complete all the setups, users are using. Now even if you disable also no issues. If you disable, what happens is already you selected into your project, that will remain as it is. But this won't be available to select into new project if you are going to create one more project. That's it.
Okay.
Yeah. You can disable, but there won't be an issue for existing projects and existing setups and whatever the access users has, the transactions, everything will work as it is. But by enabling, these can be selected into your project. Otherwise, no. That's it.
Okay, Lakshman. And I have one more question. Like we are saying, based on the licenses, we can able to enable these offerings. Like suppose, the client has option only for financials. Will it allow us to enable for SCM here? Will there be a check here in the application?
Yes, system will allow. System will allow. You can enable. You can implement also. Take example of EBS. If you take the license for financials, SCM and HRMS, still system will allow you to do the implementation for other applications.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes, but what is where we come up with the issue? Support, right?
Yeah, support and the audits will be
project accounting also. So when you are using that, first point you should not use, right? But since that is available as a part of product, you may implement and you may start using. When you have some issue or when you have bug with that product, if you contact Oracle, they won't support because you don't have license to use that. First of all, you should not use. The same applicable in the Fusion also. You can enable which for what you are not subscribing. Here no license. In case of Fusion, no license, it's all subscription only. We pay and we use, and servers and everything will be managed by Oracle only. That is a separate session I'll be covering. Okay, maybe after a few classes, I'll take you through those, what is the cloud, different cloud options we have for the clients. Those are all we'll discuss. Those are important, but not in this stage. That is the reason I plan to take that session after few sessions.
Okay, Lakshman. Yeah,
we'll do that. And we'll discuss roles very detailed level also. Yeah, please.
Yeah. So, two questions. Are you going to be covering Financial Accounting Hub as part of the
Financials Accounting Hub is separate offering. That is not part of our course. Okay, that is a complete separate offering. That is separate course also altogether. So no, we are not covering Financial Accounting Hub, FH.
Okay. What of the procurement is that going to be covered, or in terms of how it integrates to
when you talk about procurement, we are going to cover P2P cycle as a part of, along with the financials, we are going to see the P2P cycle.
Okay, great.
To run the P2P cycle, we do the inventory setups and purchasing setups. Those will be covering from the procurement. From procurement, we'll do the setups for inventory and do purchasing application. The other applications, self-service procurement, supplier portal and all, we are not going to touch. That completely falls under procurement. But we'll be covering basic inventory setups and basic purchasing setups, so that we'll be able to run the P2P cycle.
Okay, great.
Yeah, we'll do that. Yeah. Any other questions from anyone, please?
Hi, Lakshman.
Yeah, please.
Lakshman, like in R12 we had this localizations, right? Country specific localization. So same thing we also have in Fusion.
Yes, we have. Same thing.
So that is under which product or offering?
No, that is not with some product and all. Those you can get with some patch applications, and by default you have a Fusion tags for which countries Fusion tags can be used, that you can use it, you can configure, and for which countries Oracle is providing that localization patches. Those Oracle will apply the patch based on the country, the client country.
Okay.
The additional patches, but where that is not, where if it is not covered under this Fusion tags solution, that you cannot.
But like in R12, there were separate responsibilities for some localization, like EMEA localization, separate responsibility,
Here you will
separate
get a
forms were
separate roles. Here you will get a separate roles once the patches are applied.
okay.
Yes,
Fine.
as you said, like the menu itself totally different, right? Localization menus will get, and that will get into responsibilities. That's how we'll manage, right?
Okay.
So here, once they apply the patch, accordingly that information would be available, and you can do the configuration. You can use it. Yeah.
Okay.
Fine. Any other questions from anyone, please?
Hi, Lakshman. What about tax? Do we have something like EB tax, or it has changed in Fusion?
Yeah. We are going to cover that part also in our class. EBT, e-business tax, what we call in the EBS. The same in Fusion, we are calling as Fusion tax. Okay, we are going to cover Fusion tax also.
So will it be, is it similar to EB tax, or there is a huge change in
As
Fusion?
it is, name they changed. Since it's Fusion, they name it as Fusion tax. No changes.
Okay.
As it is. So you know, the complete EBS financial solution they taken into Fusion. Okay, as is they taken, they did few enhancements and they added few new functionality. The rest as it is. I could say more than 90% you see EBS only in the cloud. The rest of 10% something you find new, and the process everything you will be finding, and completely web pages and dashboards and reporting, other capability, etc. You could see something new and enhanced, etc. That's all.
Okay, maybe a little out of scope, but how much would be the change if you talk about supply chain?
So supply chain also mostly that if you compare with EBS, so what are the configuration you do, what are the process, how it follows, and almost as this you have, mostly they change the naming conventions and some additional configuration to sync with other areas of application. That's how they came up. And in case of inventory, they came up with the application called as product management. Okay, through that you have to manage, and they increase the security for this item management, etc. So we don't see the big changes even in SCM also. And just to manage your order management process, they came up with the order orchestration. Okay, even that can be used in any other applications also, but in the Fusion they introduced these few points. Yes, even we will discuss in our course also, because we'll be working on P2P and O2C there, how it's slightly different from the EBS product, and what's a few differences that I'll be addressing when you are working on P2P and O2C, when you do the setups and when you work on the process. We'll discuss those points, but there is no big change.
We're gonna see order to cash also.
Yes, O2C also we will implement. We'll do the configuration and we'll run through the process.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, right. We'll cover P2P and O2C also along with the financials. Fine. Any other questions here, please?
One question, Lakshman.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm into technical background. Okay, as of now, so I'm just moving to this functional side. So, will you explain all the kind of setups that you are going to implement in this, or
we'll be discussing?
Because I'm not
discussing what purpose we do and which business scenario. Those definitely we have to address. Yes, we'll discuss.
Actually, the thing is, I know the process of the flow, but I'm not aware of the setups kind of thing, because I'm never into that thing. So, okay, will you cover all those things, right?
Yeah, I'll be covering. See here in the classes, we are not going to depend on any existing setups. When working in the real-time project, if you are working as a finance consultant, what exactly you have to do, that I'm going to cover in the classes. So after going through this,
for example,
yeah, please.
Yeah, one thing, when you creating the user kind of thing, so as a technical background also, I'm able to understand, because how to create the users and all those stuff, how to add the responsibilities and all the stuff we can understand, right? So the same kind of flow, if we go in the setup kind of thing, then as a technical person,
take example of payables. To implement payables, what setups we have to perform, what is the purpose we have to do that setup, I'll be explaining. Once we do the setups, the concepts, what are the concepts are available, what are the features we have in the payables, we'll discuss, and in which business scenario the feature can be used, and any additional setups need to be done, that also we'll do, and we'll see the process also. So if you are working as a technical consultant, you might be knowing the basic flows, but you may
Yes, yep.
have all the features. But we'll be covering all the features and what is the purpose behind Oracle, given those in the respective application, and to implement that, what are the additional setups required, how the process can be executed, everything we'll discuss.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, we'll do that.
And one more thing, just suggest me whether do I have to go with the functional side or technical side?
1 second, these points let's discuss in the end of the session. Okay.
Okay. I thought it's okay. Got it.
We'll spend good amount of time to discuss on this.
Okay, got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions on whatever we are discussing now? Enabling offerings.
iExpenses, are we covering end-to-end full detail?
So iExpense, here we are calling as a Fusion expenses. Yes, I'll be covering the basic configuration, the basic flow of expense report creation and approvals, converting into a payables invoice. That flow I'll be covering.
So are we covering P card and credit card transactions?
No. The credit card and all we are not covering. So the basic flow I'll be covering that. GL, AP, AR, CM, FA. These are the 5 core modules we'll be focusing more detail level. This Fusion tax and Fusion expenses, these 2 applications, I'll show you the configuration, the basic flows I'll be covering.
Okay, thank you. And how much is it different if you compare with R12 iExpenses?
iExpense, the difference, the same configuration, just the same application they taken here, just the name they changed for Fusion tax, EBT, e-business tax and iExpense, just name change only they did. The setups what we do, and again the setups, the way how we do there and here slightly different, but the concept how it works and that is remains same.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, fine. So this is all. Yeah, still any questions from anyone, please? No questions. So we have seen how to create the user and how to assign the roles and how to run the synchronization process called as LDAP. And we discussed about FSM. FSM stands for Functional Setup Manager. As for FSM, the product families we call as offerings, and within the specific offering, what are the applications we have, those we call as options. If you want to implement any applications, if you want to select into project, first we have to enable those offerings and options. We have seen how to enable the offerings and options. Now we'll see how to create the implementation project. Okay, how to create the implementation project. Remember the very important point when you talk about implementation project, this is only for the purpose of doing the setups, to do the setups and to manage the setups. Only setup purpose only. Don't compare with the real implementation process or your project costing and project billing or project lifecycle management or entire project execution management. No, this is setup management. The system environment to manage our setups. Okay, we have to create the implementation project, or you may call it as, but Oracle is not giving the name in that way, but I'm just telling you for our understanding, create setup project. That means to manage the setups, we are creating the project, you may call it as setup project, but implementation purpose we are doing the setup, that is the reason name they given as a implementation project. Okay, only to do the setups and to manage the setups only this implementation project is required, but it is not mandatory. If you don't create the project, how to manage the setups also we'll discuss. Okay, we'll go and see how to create the implementation project. If you have access to FSM, you can enable the offerings and options, you can create the implementation project, and you can do the setups with the help of implementation project. So already we have seen how to enable offerings and options. Now we'll see how to create the implementation project. So navigation is same. You have to land on FSM page. This is the page, or else what we can do is once again we'll take the navigation. So you have to click on the username, click on setup and maintenance. So click on task list. Here, whatever this kind of notepad kind of icon you see, this we call as task list. Task list means it will have a multiple tasks within that. Okay, just click on this task list, or you can call it as task pan. Okay, task pan. Click on this task list. Within this there are multiple tasks. So click on manage implementation projects task. Okay, click on this task. So in this instance, there are n number of projects. So ERP tree implementation project, Go Fusion. So there are many projects. But remember one point, since this is a Vision instance, these many projects are there. If it is a real instance or a client instance, if you are going to do the implementation for US, so your client is based out in US, you are going to do the implementation for your client. In that case, hardly you will create only one project. So for one company, Oracle will provide one instance. Within that one instance, you can create n number of projects only, n number of projects also. But remember, those n number of projects should belong to same client. You should not use single instance for multiple clients. One instance for only one client. To manage the setups, to do the setups for the same client, the setups you may do through one project or multiple project creation. So if you are doing the implementation for your client is in US, you hardly will create one project only. Here, these many projects you don't see, you will create only one project. Say your client is doing the business in India and US, you are going to do the implementation for these two countries. In that case, for India, you will create one project, US will create one project. Why you are creating the two projects? To manage the setups separately, country wise, to simplify. So if you want to do the setups for US business, you will go to the US project and you will do the setups. If you want to do some setups or if you want to manage any setups, you will go to the India project and you do the setups within that. If for both two countries also you can create one project and you can do the setups, there will be some additional task which you have to perform. To avoid that, simply you can create country specific projects, or if you are implementing for only one country, one project is enough just to manage the setup. Even if you are going to do the implementation for 10 countries for your client, to do the 10 countries implementation also one project is enough. But if you are going to do the 10 country related setups from one project, what happens is all the time you have to switch from one ledger to another ledger, right? One as per EBS operating net. Similar to that, here we call as business unit. One business unit to other business unit. Switching is required within the project. One project, if you are going to use for multiple countries, within the project, when you are doing the setup, some switching is required. If you are creating the project only for one country, the switching is not required. What is the switching, how it happens, we'll see once we get into the actual configuration. Okay, the simple point is for one country, one project is enough. Ideally, as reality, what we do is country wise we create the projects and we'll manage the setups. This is the point we have to understand. We'll see how to create the implementation project. After creating the implementation project, it's a very simple process. If you have any questions, we'll discuss. So how to create our own implementation project? Once we land on this page, click on create. So by default, system is taking the implementation project name, code, description, and the status for this implementation project. The project is going to be assigned to whom, and what is the start date and the tentative finish date for the project. Everything system is taking. Okay, of course, this tentative finish date we have to specify as system is defaulting. And now the question is, who has to create this implementation project? Don't think when it say project manager would be there. No, this is all about doing the setups in the system. Who does the setups in the system? Consultants. Any consultant can create the project. Who knows what is the scope of the implementation? Say you are working finance consultant or SCM consultant. You know very well what you are going to implement for your client. Say you are going to implement financials, SCM, HCM, human capital management, which is equal to HRMS and EBS. So when we know these three offerings we are going to implement, yes, you can go and create the project and you can select those three offerings into that project. That's all. Nothing else you have to do. So you don't need to think project creation means project manager has to do. No, any consultant can do who has access to application implementation consultant role. When you say application implementation consultant role, FSM access, that's all. So we just will override these names how we required. I'm just naming as Google implementation project. This number and all we don't require. Once you use the tab, system will default the same name for code and description. So to whom you want to assign this project? Let this system assign to this current user. By default, system assigns the project from which user you are creating the project. Because of this assignment, there won't be any control. Okay, you can assign to another user or same user, doesn't make any difference. If you want to assign to another user, click on the drop down, click on search. Here you can search for the user, for which user you want to assign. So I want to assign this project to ERP3 user. Assign. Okay, anytime you can change. After creating the project also you can change it. Let's assign to current user only. Okay, the start date and the finish date. This is just for information. These names and all doesn't have any controls, but it will give the information. So if task is going to be overdue, etc., that we'll discuss. Let's get into the project. Okay, just it's try to understand what is the start date for this implementation project. Means setups. Implementation project means, say your project duration is Jan to December. Okay, your actual project plan. But here, whatever the implementation project we are doing, that is related to setups. Your setup related plan may be August to November. That's it. That date you can provide here. But not mandatory. Providing finish date is not mandatory. On which date you are creating the project, by default system will take the same date as a start date. Okay, once you're done with that, click on next. Within this instance, which offerings and options are enabled, those you can see here. The first step, enable offerings and options, we just gone through, right? So their financials are already enabled. That is the reason we are able to see financials here to select into our project. If financials offering is not enabled, you don't find financials in this list now. To find the financials here, we have to enable in the first step, so that that can be selected into your project. Now say we are going to implement financial application. So here say include. When you include financials, within the financials, which applications we are going to implement, those we have to select. Nothing but options. Say we are going to implement, yes, payables, nothing but supplier invoice process, nothing but payables. And say we are going to implement expenses, fixed assets, customer invoice processing is nothing but receivables application. In the same way, whatever you want to include for implementation, those you can include. Say just I'm including collections, I'm including revenue management, I'm including intercompany budgeting, and BA analytics also I'm just including. It will expand and you have to select the for which module that is required. That's it. So this is how just you can include. Now click on save and open project. Now to implement all these applications, for each applications what setups we have to do, system will create those setups into this project. All the setups related tasks it would create. If you want to implement payables, say for example you have to complete 10 setups. To complete the 10 setups, 10 tasks are required. The 10 tasks it would create automatically. We'll see now. Okay, it will create the tasks into folders. We can expand it, we can go through it. So now say we selected financials. Okay, system created within, this is the project. Okay, this is our project. Within the project, system is selected financials. So within the, if you expand this financials, you could see different folders. This folders contains relevant setups. All payables related configuration you can see in this folder. All expense related configuration you can see in this. All the setups. Fixed asset setups you can do from this folder. And receivables configuration you can do from this folder. This is how different folder system created. And if you want to do the setups, you can expand and you can do it. So if you want to do payables related configuration, expand this folder. Again, there are some subfolders. So again, expand. So these are the actual tasks. These we call as the tasks. System is showing clearly which task is mandatory, which task is optional. This manage payment terms task is mandatory. Sorry. So manage payables calendar is optional. Anyway, these will discuss more detail level. Once you create the project, what system will do, that's what we are trying to understand. So within the project creation, which offering we selected, within that offering, which options we selected, nothing but modules. Based on that, system would create the task list. These all are the task lists, different tasks which we are going to perform to do the implementation. Okay. And now we selected only financials. Later point of time, you want to implement procurement also. In that case, at any point of time, you can add offerings or options or specific tasks into this project. Say now I want to add procurement into this. How to add? Here we have a selected add icon. Click on that add icon. So when you want to add what? You want to add offering or specific task list or a task. Task list can address specific option also. So you want to add procurement also. We want to implement procurement also. Search for procurement and click on search and select procurement. Say apply. Just wait for a second because it has to generate all the tasks to what are the tasks required to implement entire procurement applications. It takes a couple of minutes sometimes. We'll wait. So this is how at any point of time you can add the offerings into project. Okay. I'm clicking on done. Anyway, before that it has to add in that, not at added. Let's try once again. So select procurement, click on apply. Procurement exists. I'll click on done and we'll come back. This is our project, right? Click on the project. Click on add. Search for procurement. Select. Say apply. Okay. Once you say apply, it should generate the task list and all into our project. That is the reason it's taking time. Now you can see in the background, procurement is added. Now you can say done. If you want to add any other offerings, any task list and all, you can add it to this project. Okay. Fine. Now this is a project basic information. You can just click on edit. Here you can update the status. Once you start working on this project, you can set the status as in progress. Once you complete the project, you can set the status as completed. Say we are going to start with the configuration. You can set the status as in progress and you can reassign this project to some other resource. You can update these dates, etc. Code cannot be changed, any field can be updatable. So save and close. So now the project can be assigned to only one resource. That resource can be any resource. And this financials procurement also you can assign to resource. Say for example, you started doing the setups for financials. Here you can update the status. Okay, you can click on the status. Your status icon we have. So you started doing the finance setups. You can set the status as in progress. We are doing the setups. So you can update the status for entire offering level. So now financials you could see in progress. procurement is not started. Say for example, procurement setups you completed. And click on the status. You can set the status as completed. Say save and close. So this is how you can manage the status against these offerings. Not only offerings, within that offerings we have options, right? If you expand financials, within the financials, these are the options. Expense is one option, assets is one option, receivables is one option. Any option you can select as a completed also. Once you complete the setups, you can update the status as a completed. So save and close. So it is showing, okay, the fixed assets configuration is completed. Setups are completed. If not entire offering, specific task also you can set the status. Okay. Within the receivables, say you completed the defined customer billing configuration related setups. Only for that part you can set the status as a completed. Or else you can set the status for specific task also. Okay, for specific task also you can do the setups. Say for example, I am expanding this task list. Say you completed receivable activity creation, that you can set the status as a completed. And you want to assign receivables configuration to one resource, one consultant. Okay, receivables you want to assign to one consultant. In that case, what you can do is you can select define receivables configuration, select it. After selecting, click on assign tasks. You want to assign receivables to be implemented by user called as ERP tree, that you can assign to ERP tree. Sorry. Search for this user. Say apply. Done. And you can set the due date also, by which date this ERP tree user should complete the receivables configuration. The receivables configuration should be completed by December 5th. If these are not completed within this date, system shows these are supposed to complete by this December 5th but not yet completed, or if it is completed early also it shows at the project level as a stats. You can assign to one more resource also. Okay, the same receivables can be assigned to multiple resource also. So that's how specific task also you can assign, or else entire financials you can assign to one resource. Select financials, click on assign tasks. Entire financials you can assign to another resource, any resource. I am assigning to user called as GoFusion. Done. So say save and close. So because of these assignments and statuses what we are setting, whether that application setups are completed or not, so system will track all these information at project level. Okay, so what I did, financials I assigned to one resource and only receivables I assigned to one resource. I set the statuses and all. Okay, so now because of this what happens, you will go and see that. Just I'm clicking on done. Okay, now the project is assigned to this user, right? Click on overview. So to this user which projects are assigned you can see. Now system is showing the overview against this project. So this is overview. Within this project, total tasks are these many. Assigned tasks are these many. 3,000 to 2,427. So out of that, we updated status as a completed 15% of tasks. Those are 498. And not started tasks are 1631. 48% of all the tasks. In progress tasks are 1298. 38%. You can go to assignment status by task list. So from in financials, 1631 setups are not started. 1298 setups are in progress. And 62 tasks are completed. and procurement, all setups, all tasks status is completed. So this is how you can see the resource status also you can see. So GoFusion, Google, ERP, these three resources are working for this project. So for this GoFusion, these many tasks are assigned 1360. For Google, these many tasks, and ERP, these many tasks. If you click on this bar, it will display what are those also. Click on that. These are the tasks, those assignment details. All these setups are assigned to this user. Okay. So resource status, and this everything you can find out. This is the use of the project. And again, if you have implementation project, what you can do is other very important advantage is, if you have implementation project, these setups you can move from this instance to other instance also. Okay, we can copy the setups from one instance to other instance with the help of implementation project. Without implementation project also you can do the setups, but you cannot move the setups from this instance to another instance. That is the advantage of implementation project. Okay. So this is how we have to create implementation project. Assigning these offerings or options or tasks to the resource are not mandatory. Setting status is not mandatory. The assignments doesn't have any control. Statuses doesn't have any control. That is just for information. Just now as we've seen, it shows the status of the project, how many completed, not completed, which resources are working, how many tasks are assigned, how many completed. These and all you will be able to see. Otherwise, there is no use of this implementation project. And other very important advantage of the implementation project is, if you create implementation project and if you do the setups through implementation project, you will be able to copy the setups from one instance to another instance. Without creating the implementation project also, you can do the setups. After doing the setups, those setups you cannot move to other instance. That is not possible as a functional task. Of course, you can ask the DBA to do the setups, but as a functional consultant, you cannot do. As a functional consultant, if you want to do the setups, move the setups from one instance to another instance, we have a concept called as configuration packages. By using the configuration packages, we can extract the setups from one instance and you can load in the targeted instance. That's how we can move the setups from one instance to another instance. That is possible if you have an implementation project. If you don't have implementation project, even you have all the setups ready in the system, that is not possible. Okay. So this is how we have to create implementation project. This is how system creates the setups. Now, if you want to do any setup, it's very simple. Say you want to create the accounting calendar. Simply you can search for accounting calendar. So this is how you can search for accounting calendar. Same task is available with the different paths. You can click on any task. It will take us to same accounting calendar creation page only. Just click on manage accounting calendars. Click on go to task icon so that it will take us to accounting calendar creation page. Just click on this. Click on go to task icon. So this is the accounting calendar creation page. You can click on create and you can create the accounting calendar. Anyway, these and all we'll see later. Just how to navigate from the project, that's what we are trying to understand. And now the point is, you navigated to this page. 1 second, let me close this. Yep. So I'm searching for accounting calendar. So these are the tasks available. All tasks are same, but those are available from the different paths. You know the path here. You could see the path. By following the same path, you can navigate and you can reach this task also. I'll open the same instance in the different tab. Same instance, you can open in the multiple tabs and you can perform the different tasks also. Fine. The same instance I opened here. Here also I'll go to the implementation project, setup and maintenance. Go to task list, say manage implementation projects. Open our Google implementation project. Now here I am searching for this. So if you want to go to this task, this is a path you have to follow. Financials, within the financials we have to go to define common application configuration for financials. Expand financials. Define common application configuration for financials. Define common application configuration for financials. Within that, go to define enterprise structure for financials. Define enterprise structure for financials. Again, within that, go to define financial reporting structures. Okay, define enterprise. Define financial reporting structures. Expand it. And as per navigation, then we have to go to define calendars. Define calendars. Under that you can find the task called as manage accounting calendars. Instead of doing all these, simply you can search and you can navigate. Search for accounting calendar. Now you can click on this manage accounting calendar task. It will navigate us to the accounting calendar page. Click on go to task icon. This is how we'll land in the accounting calendar creation page. Okay, just I'm clicking on done. Now when you are in with this task, if you want to know from where you navigated here, you can use this show hierarchy icon. Click on show hierarchy. What is the actual navigation you can see from here. From financials offering, we have to go to this task list. From the task list, we have to go to define enterprise structure for financials task list. Then define financial reporting structures task list. Then you have to come to define calendars. There you can see the accounting calendar. Okay, so this is how we can navigate for any task. So this is all about how to create the user and implementation project. So in the tomorrow session we'll start with a few other setups also. Going forward, maybe after few classes, what I'll do is I'll just take you through that introduction of what is a Fusion application, the roles, etc. There are a few points which you have to understand. So when you are doing this course, but those are not that much important to know before we start these points. So these you can understand directly. And we'll discuss, I'll take one session to address about the what is a cloud and what are the different options, what are the type of roles, etc. By the time we'll get introduced to relevant points also, it would be easy for you to understand. Okay, so that's all for today. Any questions on today's session, please?
Hi, Laxman. Hello?
Yeah, please.
Yeah, so I've got two questions. In Oracle R12, there were things called segments. So when you were discussing about the different instances, Oracle R12 will also use things like business unit.
1 second. Okay. Here we call it segments only.
Sorry?
You said segments, right?
Yes, segments. Yeah.
Segments we can find. 1 second. Those we find in the chart of accounts. Yes, here also same we have. No difference.
Okay.
Yeah.
And also in the setups, there was something you were calling the business analytics that you might sort of.
I'll show you that because Oracle given BI also has inbuilt functionality in the Fusion. That is the reason that functionality you can use. I'll show you in the classes where it comes into picture, how you can access, you can analyze.
Thank you.
Okay, in EBS we don't have any BI by default, right? The client has to take the subscription, they have to get the data into BI database. That's how they can prepare the BIP reports and all. But here within the Fusion, that is inbuilt functionality. That's the reason they are giving to select to facilitate that BI reporting and analytics for these applications.
Yeah, Lakshman.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, as you said that unlike R12 in Fusion, FSM is the centralized place where all the setups for all the modules will be done, right?
Correct. In case of EBS, based on the menu, you have to create the responsibility. By using the relevant menu, you have to create responsibilities. If you want to do the setups all the ways, you have to switch from one responsibility to another responsibility. But here, everything can be managed in the single place. Yes, that we can call a centralized place to do any application related configuration. At the time of implementation, after implementation also, as a part of maintenance also, the same environment you can use to perform any additional configuration or to do any sort of modifications.
Yeah, so my question is in my current project where in R12, like we have separate domain leads for each module, and they're I won't say responsible, they are authorized to do the setup. And in R12, we have that security that if I am a financial domain lead, I should not touch the purchasing setup. So in Fusion, how can that be established? How can that be achieved?
No, see, simple point here. If you are consultant, you will have access to system administrator responsibility, right? In EBS.
Yes.
If you have a system administrator responsibility, can you assign any responsibility to your user?
Yes.
Yes, that's it. Yeah. So you will have an option.
No, but my question is basically in our organization we have certain we call them support users. They are basically from business side the domain leads who are responsible for and authorized to change the setup. I mean, as a consultant, I cannot change the setup even if I have the right. I mean, I should not do that. And so at a business level, that security is enabled that to that support user we give that setup right. So my question is in Fusion, how can we have that in place?
Okay. For the business users, if you want to give the access to specific setups, we have a separate roles here. See, if you give the access to application implementation consultant role, this role will allow the user to have access to everything. Say you have one user is working for payables application. You want to allow that user to create the payment terms or few other setups only. You don't want to allow for any other application or any setups. We have a separate roles for that. Okay. Like as implementation consultant, application implementation consultant, we have a AP specific roles. Within the role, what privileges we have, we can see if any additional setups, privileges also you want to give to that user that you can facilitate. Those we will see all those things. We will be working on the custom roles and many standard roles also, where that roles will allow the business users to record the transaction. In this process, we'll come to know all those points.
Okay. Thank you.
Consultant access. For consultant, minimum these three roles need to be assigned so that full privileges that user can have to do any sort of configuration.
Okay.
For Lakshman, Hyperion, is it part of the financials offering?
Hyperion is not part of financials, but in Fusion, the Hyperion reporting they taken into GL, that will be covering. Hyperion financial reporting. That's inbuilt functionality in GL application. In EBS, we have FSE, right? That they removed and they replaced with this product.
Oh, okay. So will we be doing any budgeting kind of setups?
We have a GL budget. Apart from that, we have Hyperion planning and budgeting. That is separate product. In EBS, however, we have a budget concept, the same concept we have in the Fusion also. But Hyperion planning budgets, those two are separate products. Even if you take license for Fusion financials, you don't get it. Okay, we'll be covering the GL budget. We'll be covering Hyperion financial reporting, which is inbuilt feature within the GL application.
So even if somebody doesn't take the license for Hyperion, they can still use the Hyperion reporting capabilities?
Yes. No license is required to use Hyperion financial reporting in GL.
Great, thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions?
Yeah, hi Lakshman. Shankaran. So yeah, I have just two questions regarding this course. The thing like, maybe at the end of this course, will you be helping us on our the resume preparation and the interview questions, like how to prepare and what are the expected things? Will you be providing us some assistance on that?
Sure, definitely. If you need a CV, yes, I can provide the CV, and yes, we'll discuss on the interview questions based on if you are just attending the Fusion only, what sort of questions you can expect. You know already EBS, you have experience, and you are attending this Fusion by combining this EBS and cloud, or say Fusion Financials. On that base, what sort of interview questions we can expect in these two areas, we'll discuss. Only Fusion related and Fusion and EBS related interview questions we'll discuss.
Yeah, thanks, Lakshman. Just one more regarding the certification. Just will you be providing some details or some dumps or anything kind of?
Yes.
Any other document?
We'll provide you the dumps. Okay, that will help you to get certified.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thanks a lot. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you. Any other questions from
Lakshman? Yeah. Coming to the course design. So after each session or each day of class, do we get a set of exercise to finish any documentation, and how is it designed?
No, see, in the class only we'll just we'll go through that process also. We do the setups and we'll be testing that the same you have to repeat from your end. That's it. We'll be doing everything in the class. So whatever every session video I'll be sharing. If required again, you can go through it, or else based on the session, you can just start practicing from your end. And the sheet what I'm using during the class, the same sheet also I'll be sharing with everyone. So whatever we are going to do the setups, whatever the concept or process flows we are executing in the session, everything will be in the spreadsheet that you can use for reference. Otherwise, directly also you can proceed with the system configuration or say system practice.
Okay, so there is no step-by-step, or I mean, not in the detailed level, but this is the process flow you need to complete.
Detail level will be writing in the spreadsheet. Means if you are going to do any setups, I'll write here. If you are doing some process related, some specific feature, that setups I'll be writing. The process also I'll be writing here. Anyway, you are attending the class, and based on that, you can just refer that information in the spreadsheet, and you will be able to do it.
Okay, and when are we aiming to complete this course?
We'll complete within 2 months, because these are the weekend classes. We can spend a little bit more time. Now we start at 8 o'clock and we are ending it by 10 o'clock. So maybe next weekend onwards, we can just plan it to start the batch by 7 o'clock. We can run 7 to 10. Okay, that's how we can spend more time to complete this course as soon as possible. Max, we can take 2 months. We can complete this course.
Okay, thank you.
We'll do that. Thank you. Any other questions from anyone, please?
Hey, Lakshman, going back to the implementation project question, does the FSM or the system prompt the sequence or order in which the setups would be done, because there would be some dependency of the setup when you're doing?
Yes. When you are doing the setups, you can find the sequence also, but not for everything. Certain areas of setups you can find the sequence. Say, I'm navigating to our project. You can see that. Okay, we'll see in the class. Okay, better we can see during the class. But
yeah,
your question, yes.
Just check with you. Yeah, is there something which the system would do, or we have to manually, set this, sequence?
It will tell us any dependency setup is there. That also it will tell here. This is the task. It talks about if any dependency setup is there. Yes, it will give the information. It will give you the sequence only.
So will it stop you from doing something if you are, overriding something? We are not following the sequence or step. Does it prompt a warning message?
It won't stop you to navigate to that setup related page. When you are doing the setup, okay, if the prior setup related information we have to select in this setup, you cannot complete the task, but it won't stop. It will allow you to go and try with the task. But there you will come to know so information that need to be created. Say for example, I want to create the primary ledger. If I want to create the primary ledger, system won't stop me to going to that primary ledger page. Once I go to the primary ledger creation, I need calendar, I need chart of account, I need currency, I need accounting method. After going there, if I find those as I created, I can create the primary ledger. Otherwise, I cannot proceed. That's all.
So it's more of a manual control viewing.
Yeah, manual control. The system won't prompt you anything. But the setups, what are the setups you have to perform, those you can find in the sequence only, most of the tasks.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Any other questions from anyone?
Yeah, okay, go ahead.
Yeah, will tax cover under this course? I mean, the tax regime, all setups, rates.
Yes. That falls under Fusion tax. Within the R2R, Fusion tax will do the R2R flow, resume to rate flow. Okay. We'll be covering that in that. Any other questions?
Yeah, in R12, after the implementation of the functional consultant has a lot of role to play in support.
Here also same, no difference. No difference.
But here,
big difference.
Fast model.
No. The big difference is, in case of EBS, most of the clients, they will have their own servers to manage the instance. But in case of Fusion Cloud, the servers will be managed by Oracle. Rest everything is as it is. And when it comes to customizations and all, there is one point we'll be discussing very soon. Any other questions?
Yeah, Lakshman. Hello.
Yeah, please.
Like in R12, we have the facility of creating request set. Similarly, we also have in Fusion.
Yes, we create the request and request set. Here the same we call as job and job set. Name they changed.
Okay.
Yeah. Any questions?
Just the questions regarding the interfaces. It is same like R12 or totally different, like AB interfaces and receiver interfaces?
Okay. So, enterprise, right?
Talking about interfaces. Like we have AB interfaces.
Okay.
Yeah, it's same.
Yeah, same interface. Yeah, same. Whatever you have like interfaces based on that respective data, transactional data or master data related, the same as it is we have for finance. No changes. The reason Oracle taken the product solution as it is from EBS. So that remain as it is. Even those also we can query and see. We can write the SQL queries within this cloud environment only. At the time we'll fetch the data and we can see that also. Same.
And regarding the operating unit and the ledger and legal.
Yeah, that multi-org structure.
Same or it's different?
Yes, in EBS that is a multi-org structure where we can have a business group, operating unit, legal entity, primary ledger, inventory organization. In the Fusion how it works we'll discuss. In the Fusion, instead of calling as multi-org structure, we call as enterprise structure. And there are few points which you have to understand. It's almost similar to EBS multi-org structure only, but naming conventions are slightly different. There are few things which you have to understand. That I'll be covering detail level. You can take simple point as a similar. Okay. Any other questions, please?
The thing which I asked earlier, Lakshman, whether technical is good kind of thing or functional is good, because I'm a technical.
We can talk on that. See, the most technical consultants and DBAs are just moving to functional side. Okay, I'm not very sure if you are aware of this point or not. Most of the technical and do DBAs, because now in cloud there is no scope for DBAs, right? DBA part will be managed by Oracle only. And technical people, so in cloud Fusion applications, there is no much scope for technical people. So very primarily in every implementation project, we require technical consultant to execute the conversions. Now the data conversion can be managed by functional consultant. We are going to cover in our classes also. So apart from that, the remaining technical job for technical consultant is developing the reports on the interfaces. Again, when it comes to interfaces, if you have a knowledge how to do the integrations and all in EBS, that knowledge you won't be enough. In Fusion, you have to learn that ICS and SOA and other components. So less scope for the technical people in the Fusion applications. I don't suggest if you are planning to move technical side, better you can convert into functional. That's what all the technical and DBA guys are doing.
Okay.
Yep.
Got it.
Yep. The simple example, if you take 10 EBS implementations, for each implementation, minimum one technical consultant is required. That means for 10 projects, small size project, 10 technical consultants required. That if you take the same case in the Fusion, for 10 cloud implementations, hardly they may need 2 technical resource. Okay, 2 technical resource to manage the technical part of integrations. Rest everything is mostly functional conversions and all, which is a very primary task. In EBS is in Fusion, that is a functional that easily we can manage. The conversions can be done by functional people. How to do that, we are going to see in our classes. Master data, transactional data conversions. As a functional consultant, we can do. They made it as a functional job.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, got it.
Fine. Any other questions from anyone, please? Okay. So if no questions, we can wind up for today. We'll connect tomorrow, same time. Sharp 8 o'clock, we'll connect. We'll run the session up to 10 o'clock. So thank you all. Have a good day and good night. See you tomorrow.
Thanks.
Yep. Thank you. Thank you all.